say to you, it has been a good morning for me already, in that one of the things that I enjoy most probably about the work that I do every morning is the opportunity that I get in the morning to sort of meet and say hello to people as they've come in. And obviously I've had a nice chance to do that already with a lot of you, but I didn't get the chance to say hello to just every one of you. So I would like to start our morning off by asking just a very quick couple of questions of you, if I may. And those are very simply these. First of all, how many of you are right now, whatever you call yourselves, managers or supervisors or whatever, but how many of you are managers of people? How many of you are? Yeah, okay. And how many of you are managed by people? Yeah. Well, not only is the answer to that second question commonly yes, it's also one of our common problems. For you see, most of us are learning how to be leaders from people who are managers. And there's a difference, isn't there?
There is a difference between managers and leaders, between motivation and inspiration, and between good ones, great ones, and extraordinary ones. Kevin Lust is extraordinary. From the moment he enters a room, you'll see and sense the difference, not only in his size, but in his presence. Whether training a small group at your organization, or captivating an audience of hundreds or thousands at your meeting or conference, Kevin becomes part of the team. Through his tips and techniques, humor and examples, he'll help your entire group become better. Better leaders and communicators, better employees and co-workers, better at their finances and in living their lives, better at being better. You'll love hearing his Lust lessons in whatever topic you choose, and your group will be thrilled with your choice. Witness the difference with Kevin Lust.
See, that's what happens. You come back in and you try by the things that you say or by the things that you do to force the issue. And it's an evolutionary thing. That's the point I was going to make about when I took on that person. I did say that to you, didn't I, that I took on that role as Director of Personnel and Training? Okay. What I didn't tell you, though, was that in taking that role, I was coming back to the main office of the organization in order to take that job. And that was my dilemma. See, I'd started, it was in my days in the bank, and I'd started at the main bank. But then I'd gotten transferred to some of our other affiliate locations, and it was there that all my promotions came through. Went through all the officer levels, the VP levels, and all that stuff. And now I'm coming back to the main office as the director. You know, it was kind of a big deal around our place, and that was my problem because, see, when I'd left the main bank, I was what we called at the time a junior lender. And you can kind of guess from the title there what our position was on the corporate food chain, okay? And so, yeah, and it's been now several years since I've been gone, but, you know, I'm coming back, and there's still people who knew me from before, and you know I'm thinking you're some goofy old junior lender when you're the director, right? So through my communication studies, my initial field of study again in banking was business, of course, but I had some studies in the communications area, and through those lessons, I learned things like even how you set up your office. You send a message to people. You know, in this case, that you're in charge. And so that's what I did. Came in the weekend before, put my desk right in the right spot. They talk about the power position in the office. Yeah, maybe you know people like it. Maybe our people like this. I don't know. And had the credenza behind me. Had two lamps. With the two lamps behind you, creates kind of a backlighting effect. Makes you almost a holy figure as you sit. Yeah, it's in the books. Sure. Big picture frame on the wall, next best thing. If you don't have a window, big frame picture, bigger desk, more powerful. Mine was up on blocks, mostly so my knees would fit up under it. But I couldn't wait, man, until Monday morning, get in, show everybody I was in charge, and I got my chance. Almost no sooner had I walked in, I heard somebody come to the secretary's desk just outside my door and asked to see me. So I'm thinking, boy, great. You know, here's my chance, really show I'm in charge. And just then the thought struck me that, holy cow, a director's a busy person. And I didn't have anything to do. I mean, it was my first day. And even unpack, and so I'm kind of scrambling. The only thing there was a telephone, so hurry up, quick scooped it up, started this sort of director's conversation about, well, absolutely, you know, your voice drops a little bit when you're in charge, right? Absolutely, we'll take care of that for you. I'll see to it myself. After all, I'm director, you know, right? And this person's coming to the door, and I gave her one of these little director shots, and you've all seen this before. I know you have. It's one of those little, they give you one of these little. Just a minute. And finish in a big flourish. Yeah, in fact, if you need it by Friday, I have it for you by Wednesday, not a problem. Hung up the phone, introduced myself. You know, what is it I can do for you? Very helpful. Sort of, she sat there. Didn't say anything for the longest time. And finally she looked up and she said, well, you know, I guess it's not so much what you can do for me as it is what I can do for you, because I'm here to hook up that telephone. I mean, what do you do? You know? I was like, oh, just practicing.
Kevin is an author as well. His audio album, available on cassettes or compact discs, Financial Fitness, How to Budget Your Time, Your Money, and Your Life has become a bestseller. Kevin also delivers a message for effective leaders in his work, Coaching Skills for Managers and Supervisors, a segment of which appeared in Insight, Nightingale Conant's monthly audio magazine.
And so here's the tip. Now, it's going to sound a little hokey to you when I tell you, maybe a little corny in your mind. I know it, but try it because it works. And so actually, I'll start the tip by asking a question of you. Could you get some sort, I'm asking each of you, could you get some sort of a reminder? I'm thinking of a photograph or a picture or a memento of that person of whom you were just thinking a few moments ago. Could you? I'm asking. Yes? Well, that's my suggestion to you. You get that photograph, picture, memento, reminder, and you put it someplace where you can see it minimum twice a day. And then minimum twice a day, you go before that photograph, picture, memento, reminder, and you ask yourself, am I doing it today? Because that's the secret to this building trust piece, isn't it? That we do it all the time. Because if you violate that trust, wouldn't you say it's important that we take steps to fix it right away? See, that's why you want to check that. A couple times a day. Because we have to do these things all the time. They say the reputation, like the oak tree, takes many years to grow, but only a day to cut down. So if we've accidentally taken some wax at that tree of our reputation, then we need to get back in there and act on it. And that's the power of this, doing it twice a day. I'm telling you, it works. I know it sounds a little hokey, you think, oh, great. But if you'll follow through on it, I know you'll see a difference in the way you live your life. Because the standards that you'll hold yourself to are that much greater when somebody else is over your shoulder. The words in your book talk about the power of example there on 11. Well, you're the example. If you want to build trust within your team, it has to start with them trusting you. It's amazing when we study turnover organizationally, how much of the loyalty that people have within organizations is not to the organization, but rather to the people who are there. And that's a key for you as well. If you want to build that same sort of loyalty, you do this stuff. It really does make a difference for you. I know it makes a difference. I use it myself every day, every week. That is, when I come home from my trips, I use it in a little different context. Coming home, first thing I do, head back to my little library, my office. I call it my library. It's not so much a library, but I have a pretty good stack of books and stuff in there. In fact, my wife teases me about this because that's my vice. I come back from these trips, you know, wherever I'm going, and inevitably I'm lugging a new armload of books when I come home. And she teased me about it. She said, Kevin, her argument's sound. She says, you haven't read all the books you got now. Bringing home these new books, you haven't read all the books you got now. And I say, well, no, of course I haven't. Well, what's the point of having a library if you've read all the books? And I haven't read all of them, but I feel smarter just walking into place. But anyway, in amongst my books and tapes and things I have on my library shelves, there's a series of photographs. And there's a photograph of my mother and father, and a photograph of, it's more pertinent to this story, of my mother's mother and father, and one of my father's mother and father. But you know what? I'll go home at the end of the week, and I'll look at those photographs, and I'll ask myself, hey, Kevin, did you do it this week? And then I'll know. And truth be told, I think my grandparents know as well. Well, what I'm saying to you is your people know. Your people know whether or not you're doing these things on a daily basis. My question is, do you know what they do? That's why I do this. Marvelous tip. I know we can't all do it. We had one woman in the course one day. She said, Kevin, I love your tip. Great suggestion, but I just can't do it. And I said, well, gee, why not? And she said, well, you know, you told us to think about somebody that we trusted. I'm the president of my company, and the person I thought of was my chief financial officer. And, you know, we're both married, but not to each other. I believe if I put his picture up in my office, people would start to talk. So true enough, you can't always do it, but we'd urge you to do it. It makes a big difference, and I think you'll be surprised at just how much.
When you choose a speaker, you should do so with confidence. You can be confident Kevin will deliver for you, as he has for organizations around the world. These are just a few of the hundreds of businesses, associations, agencies, and institutions Kevin has satisfied in his decade of experience as a professional speaker and trainer. He's spoken in 16 countries on 4 continents and delivered over 1,500 paid presentations along the way. He'll put that wealth of experience and his love for what he does to work for you. Bring Kevin in. Let him tailor a presentation for your group, and you'll see why organizations hire him again and again.
The key to this is you have to do this step up front. The trust doesn't come to you as a result of who you are. A lot of people think that. They believe by, you know, based on their position or based on their education or based on their experience, bless you, or based on who they are or what their name is or what their title is. They believe based on those things that the trust should come. That's not how it is. I mean, you would never tolerate an attitude like that one, that you should get the trust before you do the work. You would never tolerate an attitude like that with your employees. I mean, you know the people I'm talking about, though, don't you? The ones who you ask them to do a little bit extra, to go a little bit beyond what they do, and they go, I'm not doing that. You don't pay me enough to do that. I mean, you don't want me to do that, you pay me more. Give me a raise, then I'll work harder. That ain't how it goes, right? I mean, to my mind, the person that says, you give me a raise, then I'll work harder, that's the same person would look at a wood stove and say, give me heat, and I'll put some wood in you. That ain't how it goes. You want heat from a wood stove, folks, what do you got to do? You put wood in it. You want a raise at work, what do? Work harder. You see, you don't ever want to be, please don't ever be like the young man I interviewed at the bank one time. He came in and we got to the point where we're talking about money, and I teach some negotiation skills as well. So through those lessons, I know that the person who mentions numbers first usually loses. You always try to get the other party to state their position, and then you work from there. And so I asked this young man, as I did everybody that I ever interviewed, I said, well, if you came to work for the bank, how much would you like to be paid? And he must have had some negotiating training on his own as well, because he gave the appropriate answer. He came right back with, well, I'd be interested in hearing how much the bank's willing to pay. Okay? So you see how this kind of turns into kind of a circular discussion if you're not careful. Well, how much do you want? Well, how much can you give me? Well, how much do you need? Well, how much do you have? And so but I thought I'd take another stab at it, though, so I said, well, we'd be more than happy to pay you what you're worth. And he thought for a second. He said, oh, no, I make more than that now.
This is just a taste of the dynamic, involving, meaningful, and fun message Kevin will share with your group. If you're looking for a positive return on hiring a speaker or trainer, invest in Kevin. He's guaranteed. Call the number on this video package to book Kevin Lust. You'll know there's a difference.